So even with £1,000,000 worth of cash prizes available, I still made one of the stupidest mistakes I've probably ever made in fantasy football. So guys, Fanteam is back here on the channel, and again we have a fantasy football game with lots of money on the line. And today we're going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes I've made playing Fanteam, one of the players I'm most concerned about in the Fanteam and FPL game, and go over my Fanteam selection, where hopefully I'll be on my way to some big money prizes. If you want to join in on the action, do check out the link in the description down below. Sign up for Fanteam, enter the year-long Fanteam Premier League game, and hopefully you will join me in winning some cash money. But before we get into this video full and proper, in the comments down below, let me know who you think the player I'm most scared of in the Fanteam and FPL game is, and we'll get into that as we talk through my team selection. Also, make sure to hit that like button or you will have a terrible Fantasy Premier League season. I don't make the rules, just hit the like button. So guys, Fanteam is back, and first of all I want to, before I go through my team, go through the point scoring system so we can understand why I picked this team a little bit more, because generally I've approached Fanteam by selecting the same or similar team to my FPL team, and to be honest that isn't the best way to play the Fanteam game, and maybe you've been doing the same because some of the point scoring is very similar, but there are some point scoring parts of the game which are different and we need to be focusing on. The very first one is playing time up to 60 minutes gets you 1 point, playing time over 60 minutes gets you 1 point, and then also for playing the whole game you get some points. But that is only if you are a midfielder or a forward. So midfielders and forwards that play 90 minutes every game of the season will over time collect you more and more points, so they become more significant in the Fanteam game. The mistake I've made is I didn't look at the point scoring properly, and I kept players like Jack Grealish in my side, especially when he was injured, when bringing in anyone that played 90 minutes would have been a much better move than keeping an injured player. Another important factor is the amount of saves your goalkeeper makes, as one goalkeeper save gets half a point. So if you have a player like Martinez last season, who makes save after save after save, that keeper is going to rack you up the points in every single game week. So yes, clean sheets of course are still important because they are worth 4 points, but you also get 0.5 per save for your goalkeeper every game week. So that needs to be considered when we choose our goalkeeper. There's also a team wins in the period the player is on the pitch amount of points, and that comes at 0.3. So players that play for teams that win more games than not will get you more points over the season games. The players from the likes of Man City, who win most of the games in a season, will be racking up those points over the long term. And coming in new for this season is shots on goal. Now I believe this is actually shots on target. The graphic is slightly wrong, I believe, but do go and check out for yourself, as will I be. But if a player has a shot on target, I believe is the strict rules for this game. It's 0.4 for every shot on target by a forward or a midfielder, 0.6 for a defender, and if your goalkeeper somehow gets a shot on goal, that is a full point. So all of these things need to be considered when we're bringing in our players. Not that we have any sort of goalkeeper that is going to be having lots of shots on goal. But you never know, in the future that may become a factor. Unlikely, but maybe. So now we get to the draft, and with all those things considered, we are looking at the goalkeepers and defence first, and we are starting off with Henderson at 5 million. Now because of the way the point system works in Fanteam, I want a player or goalkeeper in a side that's going to win often, hopefully keep clean sheets, but also make save points. And we're hoping that Dean Henderson is the #1 goalkeeper at Man United, although that could be wrong. Now David De Gea is also worth 5 million, so if I do have a transfer spare and I do turn out to be wrong, then potentially we could look at changing Henderson to De Gea. And of course we will be keeping an eye on the pre-season to try and make sure we don't fall foul of picking the wrong goalkeeper. And then in defence we have Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course 7.5 million. He gets shots on goal, he can get assists, and Liverpool hopefully will be a lot better defensively this season. So I actually think 7.5 million, especially in Fanteam but also in FPL, is a great price. Fofana and Coleman make up the back three, with Fofana against Wolves in the first game of the season at 4.5 million, and Coleman also making the starting 11 with 4.5 million as his price tag, with his game against Southampton. Now this is because a lot of the Everton defenders are worth 5 million or more. Digne could be a consideration, but at the moment I can't quite afford him. And to be honest, I'll probably be looking for a different 4.5 million defender unless Coleman looks like a guaranteed starter in Rafa Benitez's Everton. So that is a spot that I'm not over the moon with, but he is in the side at the moment. We move on to the midfield, and we've got, of course, the likes of Salah and Bruno Fernandes, just because we know for a fact that they are likely to play either 90 minutes like Bruno Fernandes, or Salah can probably outweigh the fact that he might get substituted off by the amounts of points he scores and the amounts of shots he takes on goal. But then the other two midfielders, Jack Grealish at 7.5 million, I think that may be slightly underpriced for Grealish, even if he stays at Aston Villa. If Aston Villa keep up their form, Watford in the first game is a great fixture, of course, and Jack Grealish is coming off the Euros where he did look good, even if he didn't play that many minutes. And I think even at City, he could still be a great option with De Bruyne seemingly not starting the season. And then Ward-Prowse, he is a 90-minute man, great free kicks. You know he's going to get some shots on target, but the fact that he plays 90 minutes and then could be on penalties if Ings does make a move makes him a very valuable £6.5 million midfielder. And then finally we get to the front three, and this is where it's a little bit different for me than in FPL. I have gone with Tony in Fanteam purely because at 6 million that is just cheap enough for me to really want to take a punt on him for Brentford. First game against Arsenal, you know Arsenal's defence can be a bit iffy at times, so hopefully Tony can turn out to be a great option in that Brentford side. And he is joined by Watkins at Aston Villa and Bamford at Leeds, purely because as far as shots on goal were concerned, Watkins and Bamford were up there for numbers last season. And then finally we look at the bench and we have Sanchez at 4.5 million. Now, this is kind of a safety net in case Henderson does turn out to not be the Man United #1 goalkeeper. I think Sanchez is still a good choice in the Fanteam game. I just think potentially I need to be looking for goalkeepers that somehow get a lot of saves but a lot of clean sheets, and that's probably more likely in one of the bigger sides. We then have Reguilon in at the first defender spot. 5 million, I think, for Reguilon in a side that potentially could use wing-backs as were used in Wolves by Nuno before. I think he could be an absolute steal, as could Matt Doherty, to be honest. Then we have 4.5 million players as the last two options. Gilmour, who has moved to Norwich, although the graphic does have his Chelsea fixture there. I think Gilmour could be a quality player at Norwich, and at 4.5 million, I think he will probably outperform that price. And then Ayling, who has the Man United fixture as the first fixture, not amazing, but I think he will definitely improve on his attacking returns and was a vital part of Leeds' defence last season. And finally, the bit you've been waiting for, the player I am most concerned about in Fanteam and FPL is Harry Kane. Now, Harry Kane is someone who has a lot of shots on goal, which makes him a very valuable player in Fanteam. He also often plays 90 minutes, which is even more points. And of course, if we go City, who knows, the points that he scores could go even higher, because Harry Kane is a striker that generally outscores his expected goals, and his expected goals is still significantly high. That could get even crazier at Man City, but even if he stays at Spurs, I think he's a player that, despite his price being so high, could be someone I try and figure out how to get into my side, maybe at the expense of Mohamed Salah or Bruno Fernandes, or maybe to join them. So guys, if you have got this far in the video, in the comments down below, let me know if you were right about the player that I feared the most in Fanteam and FPL, and also leave the player that you fear the most in Fanteam and FPL down in the comments as well. Make sure to come back here on Wednesday for the next FPL video as we go towards the Game Week 1 deadline. Hopefully you've already hit that like button, because we want you to have a good FPL season. Check out the Fanteam game with the top link in the description down below. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.